Hello! Welcome! I just finished Avatar The Last Airbender for the first time on Netflix not too long ago. It was like maybe 2 weeks ago. And I'm happy to actually get to the character tier list for Avatar The Last Airbender. It's definitely one of my favorite shows of all time. And I am glad that I waited to watch the show instead of watching it when I was a kid, because I feel like as an adult I can actually appreciate the show more. So we're gonna go through all these great characters and basically figure out where I want to rank each and every one of them. And it's gonna be a little bit tough because I don't remember all their names, and I can't necessarily recognize everybody's face to name and what they did. So some of these characters are going to be a little bit tougher for me to rank because of that. But hopefully this will be an enjoyable process regardless. I'm still looking forward to this. So first off, we've got Aang. I'm going to throw Aang up in B tier. I think that he was a really solid protagonist throughout the show. He had a good amount of weaknesses that held him back. Even though he was Avatar, he was just a kid, and he was still learning maturity. I like how he was raised throughout the Air Tribe, and just I like the character traits of him. I like his choice to be a vegetarian. I thought that was very interesting. Him essentially living as a monk and living this trying to be the best that he could be, but still having his moments of desperation. And also, I really respect his affirmation and his love for Appa, and just how when anything ever bad happened to Appa, Aang would be furious and completely upset, and I just showed how much he actually loved that bison, and I think that was a huge moment. So I'm putting Aang up in B tier. He's not the best of the characters, but he's still fun. He's very admirable, and he's a joy to watch. I'm also going to throw Katara up in B tier. I think that her journey as a Water Tribe up-and-comer, and her transformation into this amazing waterbender was really cool to see. Her advancement during the entire process, from being jealous of Aang being able to master waterbending really quickly, really showed, and I thought that was really cool. And she had some great character development later on. I'm actually tempted to put her up in A tier. I'm going to throw her above Aang for now, but we'll see, because there might be some other characters that I want to throw up in Aang tier. A tier, not Aang tier. Oh my god. Sokka is going to go up in S tier. He is like the one true major character in this show that didn't have any bending ability, and I thought that was so cool. I thought it's great to have just an ordinary guy trying to fight among with his friends and actually being necessary among the group. I thought he did a great job. I thought he was so much fun to be around. Asaka might honestly be my favorite character in this show. I think he is. Because he's relatable. His struggle to contribute to the group as an ordinary person that can't bend, I thought was so cool. Even though he was a member of the Water Tribe and he had a lot of ability, he certainly had a lot of flaws too. And the episode where he learned to be a great swordsman, I thought was really touching and really fleshed out his character even more. And I really enjoyed it. So Sokka is S tier. He's solid. Alright, where's Toph? Where's Toph? I wish that they had them like in order of like character appearance, or in order of like... I just wish they were in a different order. Okay, Toph is gonna go up in A tier. She is such a fun character. The fact that she's this little girl who's blind, but has totally mastered earthbending while her parents didn't even know about it, that is badass. I love that. Toph is just the definition of badass. And I thought that was super cool. I remember the play episode where Toph was being portrayed by this huge burly man. And at first, the whole thing was that everybody was getting offended by their portrayals, but Toph loved it. Toph loved that she was being portrayed by such a big, strong man. Because I feel like, even though she's a small girl, she really does have this big, strong man energy to her. And I really appreciate that. Alright, Zuko, where are you at? Zuko's also S tier. You gotta give it to him. He had one of the coolest character arcs that I think I've ever seen. He is like pure definition of the redemption arc, but it went over so well. And during the final moments of that final season, yes, I loved Zuko's transformation. I thought it was excellent. That was so much fun. Let me get Azula. Azula is A tier. I think she was a really solid character, a great villain, but she lacked any sort of redeeming quality, and I feel like that was kind of missing. Because like as a villain, she's great, she's ruthless, she's cruel, but I wish I saw more of like a soft side to her, and we didn't see that. We saw that with Mei and Ty Lee, but we didn't see that with Azula, and I was like, if there was like any sort of regret in her decisions, I don't know, I just didn't see that. So that's where I'm gonna have to leave that off, I guess. Let me throw Mei up. Now, as much as I like the dynamic of Mei and Ty Lee, I really didn't see much from Mei. We got like a little bit of personality from her with her emotions with Zuko and them being boyfriend, girlfriend and everything, and Zuko ending up betraying Mei and just seeing her distraught like that, and then in turn Mei kind of turning on Azula. I thought that was interesting, but I guess I just don't like her that much as a character. I think I wish I saw some more emotion out of her, and I didn't necessarily like the gimmick of her not having emotion without giving her more of a reason as to why that's there. Like if something happened during their childhood and she just turned off her emotions because of that, that would have been a really cool feature, but it didn't happen. So we're gonna have to leave it like that. Okay, Ty Lee. I think Ty Lee is a fun character. I'm gonna throw her up in B tier. She's definitely interesting and definitely fun to be around. All I can think of is that beach episode where they were hanging out and all the dudes were hitting on her, and I thought that was like really funny. So yeah, she's a bit more free-spirited and free-willed, and she wasn't totally a villain. She kind of was forced to be in that position, but I'm gonna throw her up there. Uncle Iroh. Ooh. I'll throw Uncle Iroh up in S tier. I feel like I would be doing him a disservice if he wasn't an S tier character, because we learned so much more about who he was later on and the dark side of him and how it helped him grow as a character. And he essentially had that entire character arc happen before the first episode hit. And that's a really cool aspect of storytelling that I don't think gets enough appreciation. And I mean, you saw that man doing those workouts in that third season, and I have to say, he is excellent at it. So, good on him. Good on him. Let me grab Jet. Jet, I think, should also be A tier. I think I'm going to throw him up just after Toph, but before Azula. Jet is such a fun character. I definitely appreciate his attempt at growth and how it was just pure hatred for the Fire Tribe, but it evolved into so much more than that, and he really did redeem himself as a character, and I thought he was really cool, so I'm gonna throw him up in A tier as well. Suki is another really fun character. I'll throw her up in A tier as well. I definitely appreciate the admiration that she has for Sokka and how they grew together and really appreciated each other. And I definitely love the romance aspect that ended up developing, and it was really cool to see. And I remember just seeing like the prison escape scene and how much she contributed during that, and I just had so much enjoyment watching her. It was really cool. That's not Suki. This is Suki. Oh my god, who is this? Who is this? Oh, that's Avatar Kyoshi! Okay. I had a hard time recognizing her because of the makeup, but yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I was thinking of Suki. We'll get to the avatars later, but yeah. Okay, that's Kyoshi, that's Suki. Okay. Like I said, I can't pair the names to the faces all that well. I'm trying, but it's a little bit of a struggle. Zhao, I actually thought was pretty disappointing as a character. Yeah, I'll put him in D tier. I thought Zhao was honestly kind of boring as a character. I didn't feel like he had much personality other than anger. The guy really didn't have any sense of self-control, and he was pretty inferior. And I thought the series actually would have been very interesting if Azula was the main villain from the beginning. Zhao is like the one character in the series that I feel like could have been improved if he was actually removed. So that's why I got him D tier right there. The Fire Lord himself. I'll throw him up in C tier. He really wasn't there much. He wasn't that much of an interesting character, but he did have an intimidation factor and sort of a mystery element to him that they implemented, which was kind of cool. So for that alone, he's not D tier, but I'm not putting him up along the lines of like Aang and Katara and Ty Lee. So you get to be C tier. Alright. Paku, I think is he's a decent character. I'm gonna throw him up in C tier as well. Because although he did implement an interesting idea with refusing to teach Katara because she's a woman, there just wasn't that much that I saw out of him, and he's not very memorable as a character, so that's why I'm throwing him up in C tier. I thought Bumi was a lot more interesting because he's got this childlike spirit that is among him, and he also seems very wise as a person. He's an old childhood friend of Aang that still stayed around, which I thought was really cool. So I'm gonna throw him up in B tier because I like him about as much as I like Aang. Zhang Zhang I thought was a lot more interesting. I thought he was A tier worthy because he had the frustration of wanting to teach the Avatar, but knowing that the Avatar wasn't ready until he had mastered the other three elements. And they were just really cool implementations that I thought worked with him and his character, and how he was constantly having his patience tested by Aang, and I thought that was so cool. But also, I have fond memories of that episode where he was trying to teach Aang firebending, and then Aang screwed up and really regretted tackling it on and getting too careless. So I'm gonna throw him up in A tier as well. If I pronounce anyone's name wrong, please forgive me. I don't remember how their names are pronounced, and I'm kind of just reading them off. Piando is definitely an S tier character for me. Because that whole swordsmanship lesson with Sokka, I thought was so cool, and how he would only teach ones that were worthy. But Sokka, on the other hand, he just did, like, the fact that he would teach him anyway, I thought was so cool. And it was just, it's honestly one of my favorite episodes, and I think that alone puts him in the S tier category for me. But he was, like, my favorite mentor out of all of the different mentors available. And yeah, the fact that he would teach Sokka swordsmanship, and he kind of allowed you to understand there's more to battle than just bending, I thought was such a great, valuable lesson. I loved it. Okay. Katara and Sokka's dad, I'm gonna throw him up in C tier as well. Again, I just didn't feel that much attachment to him. I'm sure that, you know, he was an alright character and a great father and everything, but there just wasn't much of a reason for me to care about his character, so that's why I'm throwing it up in C tier. Again, nothing wrong with it, that's just how I gotta put it. Princess Yue was definitely a fun character. I'm gonna throw her up in B tier because there were a lot of interesting elements to her. The fact that she was created essentially by a sacrifice of one of the spirits, and she ended up sacrificing herself to maintain and save the world, was definitely a cool element. In fact, I like that episode so much, I'm gonna throw it up in A tier actually. So congratulations, you're an A tier character. Hama, I thought, was also S tier worthy. That episode where she taught Katara bloodbending just totally gave me new value into Katara's character, and I thought that her essentially forcing Katara to learn bloodbending before she died was such a powerful movement. She took that freedom away from Katara to make that choice, and Katara ended up using it in moments of frustration, so in essence she won. And I think that makes her one of the most compelling villains that this show has ever seen. And even though she was trying to help, she was doing it by force, so she was definitely an interesting character. Even though they were on the same side, you definitely weren't rooting for her, and I absolutely love that. That girl that took an interest in Zuko, well, Zuko was working at the tea shop. Love her. Great character. I had so much fun watching that scene. I don't even remember her name. Jin. Jin was the girl from Ba Sing Se that developed a crush on Lee. Lee. And asked him out on a date. And I find it really funny that Lee ended up becoming this name that that everybody was just kind of like throwing out there as like this generic name. Lee in the Avatar world is kind of like the John of our real world. It works. It's great. I love it. I thought it was funny. That owl dude that was guarding the library, definitely a lot of fun. I thought he was such a cool character. How he required entries into the library in order for people to actually contributions into the library in order to allow everybody to attend. I thought that was really cool as well. So that owl dude, definitely A tier. Zuko's mom, I'll throw her up in D tier just because we didn't see that much of her. Yeah, I mean, sure, she was a good mom for Zuko, but I don't know, man. I feel like we just didn't get much value out of her character as much as we would want. I mean, she did provide some value and motivation for Zuko, but just in comparison to the rest of these characters, I just don't feel that much. You know what? I'll throw her up in C tier because she gave that motivation for Zuko to help himself. So, okay, I'll let that work. I thought that technology air guy was all right, making his inventions because of the love for his inventions. And his kid is kind of like right there with him. Again, I don't feel strongly about them one way or the other, so I'll just throw them up right there. Judy! She was a fun character. I'll throw her up in B tier because she was constantly disappearing, and there were like 30 Judys or something. I don't know. It was funny. It was funny. She's an interesting character. And so was that lady with the rat beast. I'll also throw her up in B tier. She was pretty interesting. Again, pretty much just motivated by money, so she did whatever she could to make a buck. I respect the hustle. You know what? I don't really feel that much about the boulder. Although it was like a funny, gimmicky thing to say, there just wasn't that much personality to him. I didn't really feel much for him. He was kind of cool in the fight scenes, but I don't really feel like he contributed all that much, so I'm gonna throw him in D tier. Let me get through some of these other freedom fighter characters. Longshot, I'll throw him up in D tier because he just didn't seem... You know what? No, not D tier. I'll throw him up in C tier. Smellerby, I'll throw her up in C tier. Pipsqueak, I thought was kind of a cool character. I'll throw him up in B tier. The Duke, I don't even remember existing, so you get to be in D tier just because I don't remember you in the slightest. I think you might have been standing side by side by Pipsqueak, and you were kind of there for the joke that Pipsqueak was the big guy and you were the small guy, but I don't remember anything about the Duke. The Boss Sing Se King was actually kind of interesting because he was being like held back by his peers, so I'll throw him up in A tier as well. Long Fang I thought was a pretty cool villain. I'll throw him up in B tier. The Cabbage guy, I'll throw him up in B tier. The My Cabbages joke was just very funny. I enjoyed it. So Haru was like the teenage earthbender that got captured that was pretty skilled. He was a fun character. I'll throw him up in B tier. The guy that didn't talk, that just blasted things with the third eye, I'm gonna throw him up in D tier as well, just because he didn't say anything. I thought he was kind of boring as a character. This guy was like the teacher that was like going after Toph, right? Yeah, I'll throw him up in D tier. Same with that other guy that was on a mission to capture Toph for ransom. They just weren't all that interesting to me. I didn't feel like much of their dynamic was very important to the story. I mean, it was kind of important for Toph's character arc, but again, I just didn't feel much for them, and I didn't see much of a point to them. Bato was kind of cool. I'll throw him up in B tier as well. He was fairly interesting as a character. I'm actually surprised they didn't throw the Guru up there. Oh, okay. So this was like the old ruler of the Fire Nation, and he was friends with Roku. You know what? I think his character dynamic with Roku was pretty cool. And I'll throw Kyoshi up in B tier just because I didn't think... I thought Roku was just a lot more interesting as a character than her. Gyatso I thought was definitely a cool character. I'm gonna throw him up in B tier as well. Gashun was a member of the Sandbender tribe who resided within the Siwang Desert. He was the adolescent of Shamo. He normally spent his days riding around the desert. Oh, this was the guy that kidnapped Appa. I'll throw him up in C tier. You know what, D tier actually. Just because there wasn't much to his character, and I didn't feel him all that interesting, and I wouldn't really care about his inclusion on the list. I'd much rather have the Guru. I thought the Guru was much more interesting of a character. I probably would have thrown him up in B tier, maybe A tier. Appa, I'm gonna throw up in A tier, and Momo, I'm gonna throw up in B tier. They were good buddies, good friends, and I did enjoy their presence throughout the series. I feel like I need to take a little bit of time to just reevaluate where I want to put all of these characters in what order. Okay, so I feel pretty good about this list and how I have it. This is pretty much how I'd rank all the characters together. I did move Katara up into A tier just because I thought that, especially with her bloodbending arc, she did become a lot more interesting of a character later on. So I will give her that credit, throw her up in A tier. I do think she is A tier worthy. And I messed around with the order a little bit. Basically, my top 5 in order are Asaka, Zuko, and then the swordsman teacher, I forget his name, the bloodbending woman, and then Iroh. With that girl having a crush on Zuko being like a bonus in S tier, because that was such a great moment. Loved it. So I'm gonna have to go with that. But overall, I really enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this was a very challenging list to rank. But it was a lot of fun to like go through all the different characters, and I had to hunt down a few of them because I didn't remember most of their names. But it was definitely a great experience, and I highly recommend that you watch the Avatar: The Last Airbender if you haven't already. I'm sorry for all the spoilers in this, but it's hard to truly talk about their character dynamics without getting into the details. So this is my list. Again, I'm really thankful that I actually got through it. I do want to watch Korra sometime as well. Hopefully I'll get around to checking out The Legend of Korra. Now that it is on Netflix, I shouldn't have a problem watching it. So if you do have Netflix, Avatar: The Last Airbender, in my opinion, is a must-watch. But other than that, if you've already seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, feel free to share with me your own list down in the comments section. Let me know what you think about my opinions. Maybe I'm dead wrong, and maybe you think this list is terrible. It's the worst list you've ever seen. I don't care. Just leave a comment. I'll appreciate any input. But as my perspective with like a recent first-time watcher, this is what I came up with, and you put some respect on Sokka's name because he deserves a lot of credit, and I think he is the driving force for why Avatar: The Last Airbender is such a great show. I mean, there's plenty other aspects behind it, but following Sokka's journey definitely made me appreciate this show a lot more. And even though he wasn't the main character, he was a really solid primary character, and I really appreciate him. And same goes for Zuko. Zuko's character arc was also great, so that's why they're in the top 2 spots, and they're some of the best characters this show's seen. There's a lot more to go around, but definitely you can see like where some of my preferences lie when it comes to characters in Avatar. So thank you for watching. New tier lists every Wednesday. Hope you subscribe and check out some of my other tier list videos. I got plenty more of them. Plenty more to go around and plenty more coming up. So take care. Peace out. Bye-bye.